Relentless, no let up. I mean, he probably sleeps, but not often. And even when he is sleeping, I think he's still working. It's partly a strategy, by the way. We're going to get into it. We got in the comment sections. There was some great lefty nonsense. It's the brainwashing is spectacular. It would be admirable if it weren't so corrupt. They just refuse, as Trump said, to give him credit. He doesn't care. He keeps moving on. He keeps moving on. We're going to get into his comments about Cuba. We're going to do some stuff about prayer, very important, and the MLB. We're going to go over Iran. I want to start with Iran, but this is the Ordinary American. I'm your host, Paul Sarkis. We attack things from an ordinary American's point of view. This is an anti-leftist show. Leftism, the scourge of the earth. Absolute suffering, chaos, and death everywhere it's been tried, anywhere it's been tried, every single time. It cannot, by the way, this is why Trump is able to do what he's doing. It can't work. Go back before we get to J.D. Vance here in a second to the idea that his relentlessness is a strategy. The mainstream media is still controlled by the left. ABC, CBS, NBC. Fox is not left, but certainly not what I would consider to be pro-Trump in a way that MAGA is, or the way that somebody like me is. Okay? They look to be fair and balanced. I'm not fair and balanced. I'm truthful, but I'm not fair and balanced. But the mainstream media, still controlled by the left, Washington Times, Washington Post, New York Times, and some of the other major papers, they're all left-leaning. Hollywood, all left-leaning. So the stuff that comes out is left-leaning. What they rely on is the what would you call it, the cadence of news. And the old cadence of news would give them more than a few days to hammer things home from the left. What Trump started doing in 2015 is he is just back then tweeting. He was just firing away on all cylinders, sending stuff out. And they would take the bait on every single one of them. And he'd have them over here and he'd have them over here. And they're all talking about it, but they couldn't do what they normally do, which was really focus and hit home on these things for 3, 4, 5 days, maybe a week. Why? Because he's moving on. He's doing too many important things. You look over here, he's got Maha doing something. He's got Rubio over here doing something. He's got big time Scotty Bessent, the happiest guy in government. He's an all-star. He's doing something. It's everywhere he goes. Simple translation, ordinary American point of view about Iran. Very simple. Obama did this. He let them have all of their military capabilities. He let them keep all of what they had already done on their nuke side. He gave them billions. You can argue whether it was a couple billion or whether it was a couple $100 billion, but he gave them billions of dollars, some of which were 100% US tax dollar money. So right away, he gave them their entire military they got to keep. He let them keep all of their nukes at whatever they were doing, and he gave them money. What he says he got is some assurances that they wouldn't build nuclear weapons, essentially, for a certain period of time. We know in hindsight that the IAEA, the Atomic Energy inspectors, said that they were cheating. Okay, that's Obama. Trump took out their military almost entirely. Not entirely, but I think he says 85%, whatever it is, it's essentially gone. And set back because they do not have the capability to rebuild in any fast way. 15 years, 20 years, who knows, a long time. Took out all of their nuclear capabilities. It's all gone. It's buried like skyscraper depth underground. Gone. Then what? None of our money. They are going to get some money provided they meet certain obligations. So the left in my comments, they're like, oh, they're going to get money. Doesn't matter where it comes from. Hey, dummy. The point isn't to keep the Iranians living in the Stone Ages for 40 years. The point is to bring them into the world of good neighborly countries with real economies that have some width to them and some depth to them, and have them trade and be a place that can survive. commerce over conflict. Trump does not want them to be in the Stone Ages. That's why they get the investment. And the last thing, which I should have mentioned on the Trump side, this is the most important thing, and JD talks about this, which we're going to get to. Trump somehow found a way to get the Arab and Israelis together. By the way, nobody talks about Arab against Israelis lately. I don't hear, any of that. Now it's Trump trying to maybe corral Netanyahu, saying we're their allies, which we are, but sometimes our interests are different than theirs. But you got the Abraham Accords, you got UAE jumping out of OPEC, you got the rumor, which is that all of them are going to join the Abraham Accords, commerce over conflict, and they're all united in one thing at least. Iran regime's got to go. In fact, Trump is the only guy at the table that doesn't demand that the regime goes. I said this, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, it was the title of one of the shows. The IRGC are the dumbest people in the world. They don't realize that Trump is their ally. Trump is their ally. He wants them to get things back together, but they're going to give him the opportunity to bomb them into the Stone Ages, maybe. All right, it's a simple equation. There's no comparison. And by the way, Trump's a real estate guy. He deals in options, meaning he sees a property he wants to develop. He wants to go get all of his entitlements first before he buys it. So he signs an agreement called an option. What's the option say? The option says a whole bunch of things. And it says, if I get all my inspections done and all my entitlements done, I will pay you, the owner, $100 or whatever it is. And there's obligations on both sides. And if they don't get the entitlements, then they walk away. This is what he's basically done with the MOU. He's got all the cards, as he would say. He's got all the options. They can scream and yell all they want. He can bomb them whenever he wants. They have to perform. If they don't perform, he gets to bomb them again. And everyone wants him to bomb them, except he would like to help Iran recover. He's also threatening, by the way, I'm going to charge a tax or a toll for the US on the Straits if we have to get involved again. Incentive for the Gulf countries to get involved and get the Iranian sort of code redded. All right. This was JD. I think this was yesterday. I can't remember when this was, but I want to put this up and play it because he does a pretty great job of making this simple.
First of all, the two big differences are not even in the substance of the deal itself, but something I said earlier are, number one, the Gulf Coast Coalition loves this deal because they think that it makes Iran weaker. They hated the Obama deal because they thought that it made Iran stronger. They know more about this and they have more to lose than anybody, including the United States of America. So I trust their judgment.
We played last week or the week before 2 clips sent to us by the great Ned. One was by the Crown Prince in Saudi, and the other was by, I forget who it was, the UAE. The UAE said, this was in 2017, the West is importing these people from the Middle East. They don't know what they're getting. We know. They should stop this. This is the concept that JD's talking about. The people who live in that neighborhood, the GCC, the Gulf Cooperation Council, they know Iran best. They want the regime gone. They're all together. That's critically important.
The second thing is where the deal came from. You have to remember, in 2015, Iran had built a sophisticated nuclear weapons program with a nuclear weapons stockpile. So the perspective that we came at as the United States was, you already have a really nice nuclear program. We're going to bribe you with American money in order to stop it. Our perspective and where we're coming at it is, we already destroyed your nuclear program. And so if you promise and show verifiable pathways to not rebuild it, then we're willing to give you some sanctions relief and things like that. So it's a fundamentally different perspective. Now, there are all these substantive differences.
That is critical. I've shared, in my life in politics, which is the state and local level, seen a million scams. One of the scams, you're going to go play golf with an elected official. You're playing golf, and at the end of the day, the bag that you were playing out of ends up in his car. Or one club ends up in his bag. Who's to know? That's a bribe. Why do I bring that in reference to this? They're bribing. Obama came from the perspective that I will bribe them. Why? He wanted to help them. he does it saying like, oh, this is a deal for America. It wasn't a deal for America. It was a deal to help Iran under the guise of we're helping America, but they gave them our money. It's insane. It's the same kind of scam. It's sort of hidden and you can't really see it, but it was essentially an in plain sight bribe of our money that was actually going to help Iran, not get them to stop.
As well. The Obama nuclear deal allowed enrichment. Ours will not. The Obama deal allowed the accumulation of stockpiled weapons-grade material. Ours is actually leading to the destruction of that stockpile of enriched material. So there are many differences.
That's a major difference. I mean, this is alone, these lefties in my comments, like, oh, there's no difference. There's a big difference. There's no more nuclear weapons in Iran. There's none. It's nuclear dust. That's it. It's a skyscraper's depth below ground. And from what I'm reading, it says that the Iranians don't even have the technology to get to it. They need us to do it. That's a major difference. Having nukes, forget about what they might use them for. They're liars and they were going to build weapons. Forget about that. They had them. Now they don't have them. That's massive.
The Obama deal gave them over $1 billion of American money. This deal gives them $0 of American money. So a lot of substantive differences, but I think the most important differences are where we're coming at it from a position of strength and the fact that our Gulf Coast partners love this deal.
Okay, those are the two critical things. We're coming at it from a position, of strength. In other words, Trump had the male anatomy to say, I get what needs to be done. We're going to go show them first, and then we're going to talk. Took out the nukes a year ago. They were trying to rebuild them. They took them out more this time. Wipe out their military. Now what? Now we can talk. Is it perfect? No. Is the regime gone? Technically, no. I would be a little surprised. I've said this before. I will be a little surprised if we don't read about something that goes on that we won't know who did it. Maybe it will be the Saudis. Maybe it'll be the Israelis. Maybe they'll actually work together. But the regime, I suspect, is going one way or another. But as Trump points out, it's essentially an unconditional surrender. Now, they're still yapping. We're going to close the straits and do other things. Let's just relax and watch to see how it plays out. The Iranian regime is they've got to save face. They got to do a lot of things. Let's just wait and see how it goes. Trump is relentless. He's on this. He is obviously going to make sure that this happens and happens well. He doesn't waste any time, and already in the news, he's got this. He's got, what is this? There we go. Cuba. Okay? All of a sudden, Trump suggests Cuba could follow Venezuela. Forget that headline. President Trump suggested Cuba could follow a path similar to Venezuela, saying such a scenario is possible as his administration continues to shape its policy towards the communist-run island. In an interview with Axios, let diverge here for a second. He talks to everyone. He does phone. I told you the other day, he got on a phone call after the UFC event with, who was it? Was it the New York? It was the New York Times, who he hates. He talks to everyone. He is constantly communicating. I have to check the Truth Social account before I go on the show because he could announce stuff at any moment. Okay? He talks to everybody. He's talking to Axios, telling him this. What does he say here? Possibly, it's possible. The president noted that the geographic proximity of both countries, the United States, contrasting them with more distant foreign policy challenges. These places are close by. Whereas if you look at Iran, that's a very long trip. In other words, we don't have to waste a lot of fuel or a lot of time. He's doing, you can see what he always does. He's giving these people in Cuba who are controlling this country plenty of time and opportunity to make the right choice. Doesn't look like they're going to. They're trying to do some more free market-ish reforms, but they don't want to sort of give up control. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I don't think it's going to work. I don't think they're going to get to stay in control. I suspect strongly they're going to have to go, but we're going to find out. Now, let's jump quickly. Over the weekend, El Tigre, the tiger in Colombia, wins the election. Okay, a conservative. This is really important. 2010, the red is on the left right here. You see how much leftism was there. And then this is now. Okay, I would add Venezuela, even though it's red, we control Venezuela. So that's it's not blue on the map, but it's off the charts of bad guy stuff. And then Brazil, other than the corruption there, Bolsonaro would be president. So you got nearly all of South America. This doesn't show it, but obviously we got a lot of Central America as well, going right-leaning. Why? Look at the Post. USAID slush fund, gone. Once the USAID slush fund that Doge helped get rid of, which we're going to get to here in a second, this stuff changes. Oh, what a coincidence. What could possibly have been going on there? Our tax dollars used to funnel through USAID, which is essentially the CIA, to create leftism, which creates trouble around the world. This is the globalist City of London formula. Let's create trouble. How are they going to do that? Oh, they're going to steal our money, tax us through the teeth, steal our money, don't tell us where it's going, funnel it to all these countries, cause chaos, which we then have to react to, sometimes with military, sometimes with trade, sometimes just with general anxiety. Okay? Now we have Trump. What's Trump doing? Took away all of our money being used for the bad guys. How is that? That is only a positive thing for the world. Us US taxpayers, we get to hopefully spend less. You've heard my rants. I'm going to do them in the future because it's so important. Us paying taxes, knowing what we now know, 4.7 trillion a year of untraceable funds from our Treasury General account, says Doge, a year. That is unjust. Us having to pay taxes into that system is taxation without representation. We are not told where that money is going. We were never told that USAID was funding communism all over the world. We were told that it was helping starving kids. No, it wasn't. Okay, let's get to the next thing. Now, where is it? Yep. Elon is pissed. Why is he pissed? Well, let's read about it. Can I get over to that? I'm getting better at handling, it's like hand-eye coordination. Doge designer. Breaking. Elon Musk calls for the arrest of Roe the robber Khanna. He is the senator, and he is the most prolific day trader in all of Congress. I think it's tens of thousands of trades a year. If not, it's multiple thousands of trades a year for hundreds of millions. Okay, with the immunity of against insider trading. He claims it's his wife and his kids who just miraculously happen to trade the things that appear in his committees. Back to this. The U.S. Department of Justice announced that USAID officials and several executives pleaded guilty in a bribery scam involving more than $550 million in contracts. Yet Ro Khanna is claiming Elon should be investigated over Doge spending cuts. The standard applied by Doge was very simple. If taxpayer money is being sent as aid, there should be a way to verify who received it and make sure the money isn't being stolen or misused. The Department of Justice is uncovering corruption connected to USAID contracts. Ro Khanna is attacking the person who pushed for transparency. Elon is simply asking where taxpayer money was going and whether it was actually reaching the people it was meant to help. Bam. Okay? It was not reaching the people. We know that because we can see that it was going to foster communism all over the world. Okay? It was not going to help people. And Ro Khanna, why? Because I suspect we're going to find out that these dollars have been finding their way back into Democrat coffers. Maybe it was through Act Blue. Maybe it was directly through nonprofits. We're not sure. But this is like Ukraine. Where did our 100 billion go? We have, I think it's audio tape of somebody involved in Ukraine talking about getting 100 million or 200 million back into the campaign coffers during the 24 election cycle. It's all corruption. The American taxpayer has been financially gang raped for decades. decades, taken our money, stolen, and used to forward destruction of our country. If they didn't steal our money and steal our elections, the Democrats would be a fringe party. They are not a 50-50 party. They're propped up like Johnny Bravo in The Suit through mainstream media and this nonsense, stealing our money. And Elon's had enough. He says he's going to sue Ro Khanna because what Ro Khanna does is say that us getting rid of USAID hurt kids. No, it didn't. Anybody who believes that the $1.7 billion or $2 billion or whatever it was that Obama gave the mullahs back when he was in office made it to the Iranian people is retarded. Anyone who believes that any of the money that went to Arafat or the PLO or any of the Palestinian Authority type groups over the years made it back to help the people just has to go and look and say, where's the evidence? What did it do? They made bombs. They paid terrorists. They didn't build schools and build a normal city with regular running water and indoor plumbing. They didn't do any of that. They didn't care about that. In Ukraine, where's the money going? We don't know. They can't audit it. Why not? How do we not know where 100 billion of our dollars went? It went somewhere. We don't know where it went. This is the American taxpayer has been basically the pinata for leftists around the world, just stealing our money constantly. Everywhere we look, there's a new scam. It's almost every single time I look on X, there's another disclosure. Sometimes it's a small amount, like $5 million in SNAP money being taken in Massachusetts or something. Or other times it's 100 billion. Or it's the Mussolini crew doing their things through creating curriculums. Oh, there's a nice scam that the school system buys from their nonprofits and it goes back to them. Oh, look, they bought a $9 million home. He's just the governor. How did he get that? Oh, I don't know. Don't worry about that. A $9 million, everybody can do that. Come on. These comments I get, I love it. I hope you're watching. Give more comments, by the way. Show your leftism. You're here. My show exists to wake you up. You can still wake up. We can forgive you, by the way. You were part of the problem. Us triple Trumpers, we voted for Trump 3 times. We've known what was going on. If you've been voting for Obama, we're going to get to his presidential trash can here in a second. You were tricked. If you're a Black American, you've been tricked bad, and you've been helping him destroy your communities, destroying your schools. When was the last time a Republican was in charge of a Black school district? I'll wait. No, I won't, because I'll be here forever. Okay? If you're a Jewish American, Obama hated Israel. He gave Iran money. Where do you think that money went? It went to fund October 7th. He hated Israel. And he would go to Hollywood and soak up with the fundraisers as much Jewish American money as he could get. Wake up. Wake up. All right. The Great Promethean Action. We're going to play 2 clips. One is from Barbara Boyd. If I can find it. Where is it? No, that's not it. Oh, you know what? I'm going to take a detour. Here we go. This was the great Margot Cleveland over the weekend. Okay? This is the great Margot Cleveland. Everything she writes, you should read. The year was 92. The U.S. now the world's only superpower had just defeated the Soviet Union in Cold War without firing a shot. Sound familiar? World had achieved state of peace and freedom beyond what it had ever known. Then these jokers took over. Okay? Look at this. We're going to go back a little further. George Bush, his dad was vice president under Reagan. How did he become vice president? Because he was trying to become president. He was a CIA guy. He was a City of London guy. You can go look that up. He ran the CIA. He was a neocon. He was part of that crowd, globalists, etc. They had a vicious primary where Reagan actually wanted at one point, from what I've read, he wanted Gerald Ford, the former president who took over when Nixon resigned. He wanted Gerald Ford to be his vice president. He also was thinking about Jack Kemp, a strong conservative. But to smooth things over in the party, he took in Bush. Terrible mistake. Bush won in a landslide against Dukakis in 88, which was not even a close contest. By the way, Dukakis was a hardcore lefty from Massachusetts. If you were old enough like me, you remember the miracle in Massachusetts, which was that the economy was doing great. And then in the middle of the election, it tanked, unemployment went up, et cetera. And he made some critical mistakes, including putting on the tank hat. The Willie Horton thing was a problem. We're not going to go into that today. But so what ended up happening is George Bush, the father, ends up losing to Bill Clinton. So really from Bush on, Bush, Clinton, Bush, Obama, Biden, the globalists have had their run. CIA, MI6, hat tip to Promethean Action. They've been my teachers on this. I don't know them. I just study their material. That's what I consider to be my job and my agreement with you, with the viewers, is to study this stuff and bring it to you. Okay? So this picture, it's disgusting. They've destroyed the country and really the world, and it took Trump. So I played last week a bunch of clips from Trump's 2015 speech. So in the light of these four jokers, Trump comes on the scene and says, I'm running. And he spells out exactly what's going wrong. And if you watch that speech, we did a bit of a film study in a few different days, and there are some short clips out there with this. He spelled it out. He told the truth. Lobbyists go to a president and say, oh, I help the company and the company helps me and I help you. You got to help me. Trump says, no, that's not good for America. That's not how these guys operated. Okay? That's not how these guys operated. They were right. Trump was an existential threat to them. They were right. Okay? This picture just sort of sums up. And by the way, sums up what they all want back. They told us for years that that Bush was like, I'm against this guy, I'm against the Democrats. They were all faking it. They were all faking it. They keep us fighting with each other while the globalists keep the conflicts going. We're occupied because we're saying, that's a bad guy. I got to get my guy in. Meanwhile, they're stealing our money and they're saying, give me more money in my campaign, vote for me, and I'll get rid of the other guy. And we go back and forth and back and forth. Meanwhile, they're stealing our money, and we can see the net result of that after all this time. All right, let me get back and see if I can find, there she is. This is the great Barbara Boyd. Okay? This whole video should be watched. We're not going to watch the whole thing. We're going to do a little film study over the first maybe 2 minutes. This is the presidential trash can. So let's just listen to her. We'll get into it.
$150 million. It began as a presidential library project. That means 16 years of American history should be there for review by historians, researchers, and you out there in the general public. But that idea got aborted very early, and it's clear why. As of now, the records of those 16 years are being hidden.
Oh.
The dirty parts scrubbed and withheld.
Oh.
Particularly the ones dealing with the 2015 forward surveillance and ultimate coup against Donald Trump.
You don't say.
The building, which Obama says he helped design, looks like an East German prison planted in the heart of Chicago's South Side. I'm Barbara Boyd. Mine too. So this isn't a presidential library. It's a cover-up. At the Thursday dedication, Valerie Jarrett, Obama's longtime manager, opened with this.
We'd also like to take a moment to recognize the original inhabitants of the land upon which we are gathered today. We honor the Anishinaabe, the Council of Three Fires, the Ojibwe, the Odawa, and the Potawatomi nations.
But she did.
They honor them? Let's just stop for a second. I hope, who's that? I forget the guy's name on Saturday Night Live that does the stuff with George Washington, Nate something, I think. I hope he does something on this. If she wants to honor them, how did she honor them? She stole their land. She's up in front of these people saying, we're going to honor these people who we stole their land. We're not going to give it back. We're just going to honor them. Have they made any donations to the Council of the Three Fires? What have they done? They just stole the land and they're saying, yeah, we stole it and we're not giving it back.
And apologize to the current Southside residents
and that
for
too.
Stealing a beautiful and historic public park. That land became Obama's center. She didn't apologize to the Black contractors who worked on the center and got stiffed by Obama and now are in bankruptcy.
What?
Most of all, she didn't apologize to the American people for Barack Obama's attempt to steal and revise an entire 8 years of American presidential history.
This is why I love this
every
woman.
president since Herbert Hoover has donated their official records to the federal government, their papers, their correspondence, their decisions held by the National Archives, accessible to historians and researchers, and made available by the archives to the American public. That's what's called a presidential library. But Obama's presidential records aren't even at his center.
Uh-oh.
They're at the National Archives.
Oh, why?
And through a corrupt sweetheart deal with the National Archives, Barack Obama and his foundation are determining what documents get digitized and when they get digitized or released. The Daily Beast, normally an Obama fan,
Look at that.
calls this, and I quote, a mockery of transparency.
Oh.
And here's what Obama said about the building he helped design.
I don't have time to listen to him. We got the main points. That whole video is worth watching. It's always a scam with the Democrats. It's never on the level. It's never on the level. Ro Khanna doesn't say, hey, look down in South America. Pretty good. We got some conservative leadership finally as soon as we got rid of USAID money. He goes with the fake story that kids are losing meals, which they aren't because they were never getting it. In fact, what's going to happen in all those countries is the suffering and the chaos is going to slow down and stop because conservative principles are getting put in and people are going to start to be able to afford to feed themselves and their families. That's what's going to happen. Okay? This is the whole, everything's a scam. So what's Obama doing here? He's got some scam going on with the National Archives where he's getting to decide when and how some of this stuff gets digitized or gets made public. Why? He's hiding evidence. He is hiding evidence. We've known now for a long time. The raid of Mar-a-Lago was so that Obama could get back evidence that they knew Trump had. And if they could get back the evidence, then Trump wouldn't have it. Trump was smarter than they are. Trump was smarter than they are. Okay? What Barbara Boyd is pointing out in this is it's always a scam with the Democrats. And she uses that Ojibwe and Three Nations stolen land nonsense to make the point. Even in the speech for the trash can, it's a scam. Those Indian tribes should be screaming right now. You stole our money, our land, and you admit it? I'm here now. Where's our reparations? But they won't. Okay, now there's a great picture. Here it is. There's a great picture that shows, I'm not entirely sure, to be honest with you, whether this is geographically accurate, but it's accurate in terms of the city. Okay, look at this. Both cost $850 million, essentially. One's a Trump building, and one's the presidential trash can. Okay, we just heard the vendors aren't being paid who built this. What are the scams? Who are the consultants? By the way, scams all over the place, right? When Obama got out of the White House, before he got out of the White House, there was a piece of land that was the old Magnum PI house in Oahu, and I think it's Waimanola, that was bought by one of his friends. Nesbitt, I think is the guy's name. And it's widely viewed as Obama's house. Never been recorded as far as I've read in his name. It's always been recorded in the others. It's always a scam. Not only is it a scam on who owns the thing and who paid for it, okay? But it's a scam because he told everybody that the oceans were rising and the sun monster was coming to get us and it will be scary and let us tax and take your money and regulate you to death. But what does he do? First thing he does, oceanfront estate in Hawaii, oceanfront estate in Martha's Vineyard. Bam. If he cared so much about the oceans rising, why would he buy those? Always a scam. Always a scam. Okay, I'm gonna move to Barbara's partner, Susan Kakinda. She's gonna share some good news, some really good news. And I want to, let me see if I can get this up. Is that going to work? Okay. I'm going to try to show some of this. It's a little, I can't do it. Well, if you can see that, she explains it well.
Coming back on. And in this column, we have the firsts in a generation.
This is some of the stuff that's already happened under Trump. Manufacturing, building things, bringing critical resources. Remember, the idea of the American system is that we have to make things that are important to us. Not only food, not only medicine, but technology, assets like rare earth minerals, building materials like steel. She's going to get into some of that. We have to make that. And we have to own that whole supply chain so that we're not reliant on people who hate us, the Chinese or others, for that stuff. This incident with Iran has really proven the American system to be accurate. Why? How can I say that? The Straits of Hormuz, which was a bottleneck for some huge portion of the world's oil, doesn't affect us. It affects us in terms of price, but we have plenty of oil for ourselves. If the rest of the world was starving of oil, we would be fine. We now produce more than enough for ourselves. That's what she's talking about. Listen to this.
U.S. outproducing Japan in steel, the first new primary aluminum smelter, the first new U.S. excavator factory, the first new graphite processing, the first new production of rare earth magnets at scale. There's two of them. There's a mining and production facility under MP Materials, and there's a big new one in North Carolina. I mentioned that when I was in North Carolina. I'll bring that up again. Largest plant outside. First ever complete AI chip supply chain, ending 100% import dependency. And in this column, you can just see some of the numbers. The ones in green are the pluses. The ones in red are deficit being reduced. And then over here is energy with just some of it. There's only so much you can put in these. Thanks to our friend from Connecticut, I think she was talking about the one thing.
All right. I'm skipping ahead because she's now going to talk about the rare earth mineral magnet facility in North Carolina. But what she's explaining there is the American system. We're going to build and control the things that are important to us, as opposed to this fairy tale of we don't have to worry about that. We just have to worry about free trade. Why is that a fairy tale? I'm a free trade economist at my heart. I want free trade. Everybody wants free trade because it's not free. Because when the Chinese flood the market with cheap steel or cheap furniture or whatever, or manipulate their currency, that's not free. Trump stood up to them and he said it in his 2015 speech, and he gave an example of exactly what he was going to do. He used Ford as the example. If Ford's going to build their plant in Mexico and take the jobs from America, we're going to tax it 35%. Or you can move your plant back here and have no tax. He's done that. And we've talked before, Samsung, Nissan. I'm trying to think of the other car manufacturers who are building plants here. The TSCMI, or whatever those initials are, for the chips in Arizona. Same thing. Now she's going to talk about that plant in North Carolina.
Thing that I'd shown you in that slide earlier, the rare earth magnet production facility, which has just been announced for Benson, North Carolina, which is in Johnson County. I think that's southeast of Raleigh. This will be the biggest rare earth magnet production facility outside of China. It is a $900 million investment. It will employ over 1,000 people.
Holy cow.
It's not small. And it's taking place because 2/3 of the capital, over 600 million of the 900 million, is coming from the new Office of Strategic Capital, which is in the Pentagon. This is the American system of political economy in action. Now, I guarantee you almost nobody in this audience knew about this. And you could just see people light up in terms of what the potential was. We were also...
Okay, and I'll guarantee that most of the audience, you all, probably didn't know about that either, because I certainly didn't know about it until I started to watch Promethean Action, which everybody should tune into. Okay? What Trump is doing is he is using American exceptionalism. Remember when Obama got in, the first thing he did, he went over to the Middle East and he basically said, America sucks and you guys are great and we're gonna lead from behind, basically giving up all the power. And he was awful and he gave them a lot of money and there was chaos in the Middle East and Russia invaded their neighbor and all the things we know. Not only that, he corrupted government so much that they spied on Trump. We know the whole story. What she's saying is with Trump, what Trump is doing is he's saying it's for the ordinary American, it's for the American people. We're going to use what's great about our country. We can make things. We have better laws, better courts, better, as flawed as they are, better opportunities to build things. Slight detour. This sort of fairy tale of the Chinese or the Russians or some other country being able to replace the dollar as a reserve currency. Will that happen someday? Yes. It generally happens from the bottom up, not from the top down. But the idea that today, given what the world looks like, somehow we're going to wake up tomorrow and all of the world's going to do business in some other currency is not true for a few reasons. One, they don't trust each other. Nobody trusts that they can go and build plants in China and get a fair deal if they run into a problem. When they build in China, they build knowing that if they wind up with a beef, the Chinese might just take everything, okay? Same thing in Russia. There's no belief in the system because there's too much corruption. There's no belief. If you go, the great Ned tells us this all the time. He said, most of the people in the Middle East, no matter who they are, they convert everything to dollars. Why? Because it's still, even though it's been corrupted and Obama did terrible things and we're fixing it, it's still the best option out there. And you're seeing that with what just went on in Iran. No one else could have taken out those nuclear weapons, but all of them wanted. Remember, we played the Crown Prince, this is a few years ago, saying, we don't want to have to get a nuke, but if Iran gets a nuke, we're going to have to get a nuke. Trump knows that. That's why he takes out the nukes. Now he can tell everybody else, nobody gets to get nukes, okay? Because America, took that bad guy off the table. That's what's happening. And that's why none of these other countries, there's not going to be, not in the short term. Again, reserve currencies always fail eventually, but not now. And this is why. Okay, loads of good things happening too. There are a couple of quick things I do want to get to. There was a great story. Where is it? There it is. You hear me a lot. No, that's not it. You hear me on Forgiveness Friday talk about having a relationship with God and the power of prayer, and I try to bring that up as often as I can because developing a relationship with God is the single greatest life hack you can do. Okay. This is the American soccer team, another great story in and of itself. We haven't covered it much, but not only is the American team doing awesome, and we're going to play this here in a second, but the foreigners who have come here to watch the World Cup are just raving about America. It's like a national visitor tourism campaign on social media. Chinese guys saying we love Texas barbecue. Europeans going into Buc-ee's and talking about how clean it is and how unbelievable the beef jerky is. English people at a rodeo in Texas. It's unbelievable because America is great and we're coming up on the 250th and we're going to celebrate it. And the complete mutts who keep on destroying the reflecting pool that Trump led to fix. Vandalism, vandalism is one of those things. It's so nonsensical. Who's he hurting? Trump, he's not hurting Trump. He's actually helping Trump because Trump gets to fix it twice. He's mad at America for what? If he did that in North Korea, in China, in Russia, what would happen to him? Whoever that person is. Okay? The Europeans are finding out how great America is. And then this happens.
On the left, Pepe on the left as well. Mulligan's sliding out there. I mean, Tillman was all over the field today. McKinney was all over the field today. Tyler Adams, I mean, that midfield really won the game for us. But all I can do is take my hats off to this.
What's happening? They're praying together. After the victory against Australia, they're praying together. I'm old enough, to remember back when we used to pray before sporting events. And I was watching the other night with my daughter for another time. We've seen it before. It's a great movie by Peter Berg, Friday Night Lights. That's kind of my era of high school and college football. And there's a great scene before they go out for the second half, and both teams are praying the Lord's Prayer. Okay, we're moving closer to that again, hopefully. But the problem isn't too much religion. It's not enough in America. And that was a great moment. We're not going to get to we got so many more stuff to get to. Hopefully we'll get to some of it tomorrow. Iran is going great. Is it perfect? No. When I say great, does it mean everything is awesome and it's like Zendo? No, it's not. But we are winning. We're making progress. The Middle East is a much safer place than it was before. There are no nukes, and the bad guy lost most of their military capabilities. That's a great result. All the Gulf countries, as JD said, are in alignment, and they're all working together, and they all want the same outcome. Thumbs up. All right. America, awesome. The Europeans are learning that. Praying at soccer games, awesome. All right, we're going to be back here tomorrow. Please like, subscribe, and follow. Make comments. Pass this stuff on. We got the midterms coming up. We are anti-leftist, and we're trying to wake people up if they've been voting for Democrats. It's okay. We all have made mistakes. You made a mistake. You got tricked. Now let's get on with it. Okay? Let's get on with it. Tomorrow, we're going to jump back into the Save America Act because there's a lot going on with that with Mike Lee. All right. As the great Father Mike Schmidt says, and I highly recommend you go look up the Ascension app and all of his great content. I'm praying for you. Please pray for me. I'm rooting for